Hey, so I just want to talk today a little bit about anchoring into a deeper sense of trust and learning how to trust our intuition. So I tend to work with spiritual entrepreneurs and heart-led high achievers and people who are interested in anchoring into more of a flow state rather than pushing and driving and using their logical mind to try and take them somewhere. So how do you develop intuition and how do you operate on a deeper level of trust? There's 3 steps to this. The first one is we have to understand what intuition actually is, because it feels a bit airy-fairy when you first start to think about it. If you're not familiar with following your intuition, maybe you don't even know what that means. So the first thing I want to smash out the water is this idea that it's head versus heart, that it's following your emotions instead of following logic. That's not what following your intuition is. I think that idea of following heart versus head kind of gives intuitiveness a bad name in a way. So the way I see it, and there's lots of different ways of understanding what it means to follow your intuition, but one of the ways in which I can relate to it is using the conscious and subconscious mind. So your conscious mind does about 8 things a second. It's your thinky head-based thoughts, and it's the logical place where we normally make all our decisions. Your subconscious mind is vastly powerful. It's doing about 3 million things every second, and you don't know about most of them. It's abstract, it's wildly powerful. And it's when we start tapping into that we become more instinctive, more intuitive. So that's one way of looking at it, the conscious versus the subconscious, your deeper level of awareness where all the answers lie. Some people also think that your intuitive, your deeper level of consciousness is your higher self, or the universe, or God even, or Buddha, or the truth body. You know, I can relate to it in those spiritual terms as well. And some people think about intuition as like body mind, so body sense awareness versus thinky head stuff. And this is also true and fits in with the other idea of conscious and subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is awareness all over your body, and so often your subconscious mind is giving you signals, information through symptoms and experiences and feelings in your body. And in my work, I have the massive privilege of following those instincts with people, those symptoms, those feelings, and they are doorways into the deepest healing. So that's a little bit about what your intuition is. So how do you follow it? How do you follow it if you want to step into a deeper sense of trust in the way that you run your business or your life, your personal life? How do you develop your intuition? So the first thing you've got to do is recognize it. You've got to recognize what your intuition is and what it isn't. So again, we're thinking more like body, mind, feelings versus thoughts. When you have intuition, it's not so much of a thought as a knowing, or a feeling in your gut or your heart. So take a moment to think of a few examples when you yourself has had a gut feeling to do something, even though it doesn't make logical sense. And how has that gone for you? We have to think of a few examples for ourselves to think like what happened in that moment. And I've been like brainstorming a load of my own. I've been practicing this for a few years now, and had some incredible experiences. One of the first things that happened to me was when I was living in Glasgow and I was leaving the house, and I don't like to carry an umbrella. By the way, I can hope you can hear these lovely autumny leaves rustling sounds in the background. So beautiful on this gorgeous sunny day. So yeah, like I was leaving the house and I just had this felt sense, this knowing, like take an umbrella. And I never carry an umbrella. I don't like umbrellas. I prefer to get wet or just like put a hood up. And it wasn't raining. It didn't look like it was going to rain, so it didn't make any logical sense. So I was like, that's weird, and left the house without one. 10 minutes later, absolutely torrential rain, the type that's like someone throwing a bucket of water over you. You are drenched to the skin in like 5 seconds flat. Happened. The type where the only thing you need is an umbrella, right? And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. There was some part of me that knew I needed an umbrella in that moment, and there was part of me that dismissed it. So we have to start looking out for the signs. There's some really incredible signs, and we have to start tuning into them. So we can play around with this and start to notice. Like I remember also going on when I was in a coaching program with a load of other heart-led spiritual coaches, and I was supposed to go to the session in the evening, and I was thinking to myself, I just don't feel like going. And but part of my mind was like, no, you've paid for these sessions. You have to be serious about building your business. You have to show up, like go. But even though everything in my body was saying, no, don't go. And it was so interesting. I went that night and the session was just terrible. I don't know what was going on, but the energy was wonky. There was not great rapport between the people on the session. The call just wasn't giving me anything. And it just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. And it was just, again, a really interesting learning. So I've got loads and loads of examples of big things and small things where I followed my intuition and it's worked out, or where I've not followed them and it hasn't worked out. And the more you do it, the more trust you start to get in these deeper knowings, these body-mind awarenesses that can take you instinctively to really cool places. So one example is this. I've had it so many times when I've been playing around with discipline and flow and building my heart-led business, and I've been sitting at my desk trying to do some really important task that's going to bring me new clients and feeling like I just want to go for a walk. And everything in my body-mind is saying, just go for a walk, sack it off. But my thinky head-based thoughts that go, no, finish what you've started, you've got to get this done. And the most interesting thing happens, like there's been several times when I've dropped tools, gone out for the walk, followed my instinct, and then an idea for a live for me has come to me like that while I've been out on my walk. I've done it instantly without any preparation, and then a new client has fallen into my lap just from one live. And if I'd have stayed at my desk doing something for another 2 hours, I might not have even had another client off the back of it. So it's just, when you start to follow your intuition and your instinct, it's like getting out of the driver's seat and getting in the passenger seat, and you can start enjoying the ride, because life becomes magical, because you're surrendering, you're following what is, rather than trying to push, drive, change, control. And really what we're talking about here is the difference between a fear mind and a trust mind. Now, I've been practicing hypnotherapy since 2014 professionally, and I can honestly say that every single session I've ever done with every client, no matter what their trauma levels or difficulties are, no matter what their objectives are, no matter where they're at in the process, every single one has been taking them from a state of fear to a state of trust. There are really only two states of mind, really, that we're operating in. So to question 3, we've looked at how we identify our intuition. We've looked at exploring, following it, and thinking of examples of when we have and when we haven't. The next stage is we have to find anchors to help us to remember to check in with our intuition, to know if we're doing the right thing. Are we following our head, our thinking, head-based thoughts, or are we following our heart, our body, mind, our subconscious, our greater knowing? So we need to ask ourselves that question regularly. And one way of doing it is this very simple phrase: stop, breathe. In the now moment, what is the next step? Now that is a beautiful little process that I've added into my day a few years ago on the back of some coach that helped me at that time. And I use it on a daily basis several times a day, just to go in to check, is this aligned? Is this what I want to be doing right now? Is this going to take me to my goals and dreams? So there's lots of different ways of doing it, but you have to find your own fun ways of connecting into your intuition, reminding yourself to ask that question: am I living my values today? What can I do today to live my values? That's another really good one. So yeah, just checking in. And as soon as you start to operate from this level of trust, everything changes. So trust is like, imagine a river flowing towards the sea. The river flowing towards the sea is not concerned about what it's going to be like when it gets to the sea. And there's no doubt in the mind of a river that it's going to get there. There's just a deep knowing. It's inevitable that you are going to get to the sea. And it's the same, this mind of trust, it's okay to surrender within that trust and follow different cool instincts on magical rides, because you know, you're going to get where you need to go. So you can just enjoy thread when you follow your intuition. So I hope this has been helpful for you. It's certainly something we talk about a lot in my coaching calls, and my students are really developing their instincts and telling me magical stories about how through this work they are seeing magical things unfold. So one of my clients on our call on Thursday said she'd been practicing this method, and she made 2 appointments last week with people that she knew, and she literally didn't know why. And one of them she got on the phone to, and they said, "Why are you on this call?" And she said, "I don't even know." And they started talking, and by the end of the call, this person had actually hired her to do a collaborative project with their clients. So this is the kind of thing that unfolds when you just follow, when you trust, when you allow surrender. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you enjoyed, and stick me a comment below or a like if it's good for you. And have a lovely day. Enjoy the sunshine if you have it. Thank you.